Welp, here we are on YouTube. Ryan, what's happening?
Nathan, this is a special request from Deborah, a very lovely patron and or supporter of our channel. Deborah, thank you so much for liking our channel enough to make this request. And that's why I'm always humbled. I just want to say I'm really grateful that people do that for us. I don't think we acknowledge that enough. I just wanted to say thank you to Deborah when people give us money, quite frankly, because they're like, hey, I like it when you guys react to things that I enjoy, whatever that may be. And here's some money to see our thoughts. I hate the term reaction, but to see our thoughts or hear our thoughts, I should say, on videos or interviews, music videos, concerts. It's very sweet of you, Deborah. So thank you. So this is an interview. I don't have any information on this. All I know is from Deborah, but I think it's an interview on some podcast or radio show. I think it might be an Amazon show because I saw Louis sitting beside an Amazon pillow in the thumbnail. So this is Louis Tomlinson, I think about a year or so ago, around the time of the release of his new album in that area, or his second album, I should say. Yeah, we're just going to comment on what Louis has to say to a guy named Zach Sang is the interviewer's name. So that's all I know.
Okay. All right. Thanks for that info there, Ryan.
Hi, I'm Louis Tomlinson. I just finished my interview with the Zach Sang Show. We spoke about the album, we spoke about the tour, spoke about loads of different stuff. Go check it out.
That's why we're here, Louis.
Hello, beautiful human. I'm Zach. That's Stanley. Welcome to the studio. Louis Tomlinson.
Hello. Great round of applause that was, lads. Nice.
Yeah, come on. We're excited to have you.
Yeah, it's great, man. It's great. It's great. Do you know what? There's been a few weird ones like that on this promo run. And one of them, I walked in and the woman introduced me and she was like, can we give him a standing ovation? I swear to God, it's the eggiest fucking shit in my life. I just had to stand there. Hello.
By the way, you don't really ask somebody to give you a standing ovation. It just happens.
True. Very true. Yeah.
People are just, they're moved to do it.
Yeah, exactly. It's been a good week though, man. I did a few of them album listening parties this week, so my fans had a chance to listen to a couple of tunes. So it's been my first time where, because I've had this album for at least like 9 months now, so it's now been the first time that I've actually got an idea of what people make of these tunes that I've had for so long.
9 months you've had the album, but when do you get the name Faith in the Future? Because it appeared first on banners in the crowd.
Yeah.
Did that inspire the name at all?
No, I will take full credit for this one. It's so basically in lockdown, for whatever reason, that phrase found its way onto my lap and it spoke to me in a certain way. I wanted this album to feel more hopeful than my last record, and I think it does that from the off in that statement. But the reason that the fans had made banners and stuff of it is because maybe about I want to say 9 months ago, but not everything happened 9 months ago. But about 9 months ago, roughly, I put out on my social media, on Twitter, I just put that phrase out, Faith in the Future, in isolation with no context. And I just felt there was this kind of magic around that phrase. So I built the album around.
That's cool. That's the stuff of creation. When stuff happens naturally and realistically, as opposed to, oh, this will make money, this will sell albums. It's more, here's a phrase that I was thinking about that I was inspired by, and it got me thinking about bigger things. I think that's cool.
Agreed.
It's organic.
Yeah, and I love how he put that out, and he didn't say it was for the album, but it took kind of shape with the fans and himself. Like, oh, you know what? This is clicking. Yeah. This is clicking. So he came up with the idea of Faith in the Future, but then he liked how it caught on with fans. I think I'm going to call the album this as well, because it fits his hope for the future with himself as an artist as well, right?
Yeah.
That phrase.
What gave you? Did you see tangibly hope? Like what?
I think that's another reason why I like the title, because I'm not going to lie. It defines my own individual journey, really, personally, professionally. I've had to have faith in the future, in my own future, professionally, personally, whatever that might be.
You also have a kid.
Yes.
When you look at
the future right there.
That's a tangible, physical representation of your future, society's future.
Okay, Nathan, I don't want to get too dark. I don't want to get too deep into this rabbit hole. I almost hesitate because you're so innocent right now, Nathan. Right now, you're so innocent.
Oh, no.
See, I love your response because we've been doing this now for a year and a bit. The One Direction world, from the Conspiracy theories about.
I already know what's coming. I already
What?
know what's
Okay,
coming.
give me a prediction.
It's some conspiracy theory about where his kid actually came from. It was the love child of Harry and some other in a bottle while they were in space with aliens. No, come on. What is it?
Okay, listen. First, I just want to say for anyone watching this right now, Nathan and I have been doing, because this might be on YouTube. This might not get blocked on YouTube. Whereas right now we're 2/3 the way through it. His documentary, All the Voices, or sorry, I forget, All the Voices, or whatever it's called. The documentary on Paramount Plus, which we know will be blocked on YouTube because it's a Paramount Plus show. We'll try to get it on YouTube, but it's on our Patreon right now. Anyway, so in the second part of us watching that documentary, it was revealed to the viewer and us as the viewer that Louis has a son. I think Eddie is his name, right? Freddie or Eddie? Freddie. So anyways, say again?
He's a cute kid.
He was a cute kid.
Like,
yeah, and
him.
Louis's love for this child is palpable and obviously real. The love that he has for this child. Okay. So I say all this because, and then I won't say the person, but an anonymous person on our Discord reached out to me. And so what I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm glad you and I got to discover that relationship naturally, that no one spoiled it. Because if we were watching this interview first, let's say we did the interview before the documentary, we would have heard we would have been, what? He has a son?
We would have paused it right there and said, what? He has a son? Yeah.
But now I'm pausing it because
no.
It's interesting because apparently there's a whole people are going crazy with the comments on YouTube. That's fine. I don't care. But I'm talking to you, my friend, Nathan. That's how I'm looking at this. I'm not talking to the people watching this video. I'm talking to you. You're my friend. Okay. So I want to share what I learned from
people are saying don't bring this up in our comments right now.
It doesn't matter. That's what I'm trying. I'll say it again. Nathan, I'm talking to you, my friend. The people in the comments can relax. They can go crazy. I don't care about them. I'm talking to you. You're my friend. Now, I can have this conversation with you offline. And then nobody gets to hear what I'm going to say to you. But what's the point of having a YouTube channel if I can't talk to my friend about the things I learn?
And I'll say whatever I would say offline, what I'll say here.
Exactly. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not prescribing to it, and I'm not saying it to cause controversy. I'm just saying this information was given to me, and I find it fascinating that it just exists. That's all I'm trying to say. That the idea, like, because you and I watched it, like, yeah, cool. And even the person who told me says, "Oh, I hesitate doing this because your guys' reactions to the idea that he has a son was very genuine and very real and we were good about it." So they didn't want to tarnish. But I said, go ahead and tell me, it's fine, because I suspected there might be something. That's all. Anyways, I find it fascinating only that it exists and that somebody did reach out. So again, I won't say the person's name. So right here, you ready? You want to hear some of it? If you don't want to, I won't. We'll move on. Yes or no?
Say it, but I'm going to just crap on it. But
no, that's not good content. I'm not going to do it then. It's not about just crapping on it, because we've already established that it's
I'm not going to crap on it. It's like how I feel about the vast majority of.
Okay, I won't share. I'm not going to share that. People in the chat already know. I'll just cut and paste and send it to you later, because I don't want to. I want to have fun with it. I want to have not make fun, but I want to keep it light. But if we're just going to, I don't want to I hate conspiracy theories. Blah blah blah. Let's move on. I don't want that kind of dialogue. So if that's all you're going to say, then I just won't bring it up.
Now you got me curious.
See, that's all I'm trying to say. I'm trying to view it. There's information that exists in the fandom. Of course, it's probably, let's just say, yes, it's all made up stories and fandoms being crazy. But I'm just saying, I don't want a reaction from you. I just want to talk to you about it. That's all. I find it fascinating that this exists. I don't subscribe to it. I just find it fascinating that people talk this way.
All right, go ahead. Lay it.
Okay. So again, this person shared this with me. But I am curious. I personally find it fascinating. If people want to share that this is crazy or this person got it wrong, then by all means, educate us, because that's what we're here for. Okay. So she said, no one talks about Louis' son because a lot of stuff happened during the time it was announced, and controversy over it. The baby was his timeline-wise his, and if he was the dad. So everyone in the fandom decided we won't talk about him to stop people from fighting. So there you go. So even this person saying it was very controversial, and of course fans are very fanatical, right, about Louis and about. So that's the best short version of the fandom without saying it all. And I said, so I just asked, is he verified the father? I just asked right out, is there something? What are we talking about here? Is he the dad or not? Is there DNA or what? And then she said, oh, there's been no tests. There were lots of articles about at the time. Louis, in whatever capacity, loves Freddie and accepts him so until Louis says different. I said, well, that's odd. I hope he's not being taken advantage of. That was my only concern for Louis now. Is he being taken advantage of by some woman? I hate to say it. She goes on to say, also, it was like disappearing baby bump on Brianna. And after the baby, she didn't look like she had a child at all. Sonogram pictures were suspicious looking. It goes deep. Some people believe that Brianna's mom, the grandma, is the real mom. Like the child is being used to cover his sexuality, which goes into what we talked about with the Larry and Louis, blah, blah, blah. So it goes, yeah. So it goes into that, of course, like this is a baby to show that Louis is straight, that he has a child with a woman, blah, blah.
I would hate to be that level of celebrity because inevitably some conspiracy will evolve. Everyone can use the phrase, it's not
Elvis isn't dead. Avril Lavigne has a body double. I find it hilarious and fun personally. But at the same time, I don't want to hurt Louis, right? I don't want to hurt him because he truly does have a relationship with this child, whether he's the dad or not. But she just said that's why I didn't bring it up in the main chat. She didn't want to wreck the main chat.
Yeah.
But she said, I felt like y'all would maybe want the inside fandom just so you knew why you hadn't heard about him. So that's why she brought it up. She was saying the reason why you guys haven't heard about the son is because when it's brought up, it's very explosive. So in a good way, our people on our channel haven't talked about the son because they didn't want to cause a whole like blah, blah, which is happening in our chat right now, which I'm totally ignoring because I'm just talking to you, my friend, about this. So anyways, I thought it was interesting. I didn't even consider there would be, because I'm a Louis fan. I saw him with his son. I didn't even that's maybe how, not naive, but that's just because I like you, Nathan, believe it or not. I'm actually, I wouldn't say like I'm gullible, but I just believe what people tell me. So if I just see somebody loving a child who says this is their son, guess what Ryan thinks? That's somebody who loves their son, right? So there you go. So now we'll hear him talk about his son, which is cool, which we still think is amazing that he loves that child regardless, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. And also, like, I felt like a good time to put something out. When I actually came up with the idea, I'm pretty sure the first time I thought about that phrase, no, I'm certain on this, COVID hadn't happened. And then COVID happened, and it just felt too appropriate. And of course, we can focus on the glass half empty if we want to, but why not focus on glass being half full?
I think that's the right approach to life. But does that all... Did you always look at things like that?
Yeah, I would say I'm pretty lucky. It's not that I have like the inability to worry, but those thoughts never last very long in my head, because there's always been, especially that profession, it's been too much for me to want to prove, or there's so much left for me to achieve. So all those things motivate me on those like down days.
Isn't that a pretty cool thing to actually come to terms with, is that there's so much more for you to achieve?
Yeah, definitely, given the context of my experience in One Direction, without blowing our own trumpets, so to speak, we did it all in the band. So that's been an interesting thing for me, is redefining what that word success means to me, and what's going to make me ambitious and what's going to make me happy, and what I've got left to achieve, like I just said.
It's interesting too, what he just said there, excuse me, about what else can I achieve as an artist. He's speaking for as an artist. And it is true, when you are an artist and you're a member of One Direction, let's say, you've achieved everything as far as whatever. If you think about success within like you and I have a stupid YouTube channel, we have achieved nothing. In the sense of, then there's people like Mr. Beast, who has whatever millions and millions of views per video and subscribers and money. What drives Mr. Beast, right? What drives somebody who's a member of One Direction, who's already toured the world, millions of albums, multi-millionaire? Now I'm a solo artist. What's my drive? You have to recalibrate. Your drive shouldn't now be selling out stadiums, right? Because you've already done that. That's already happened. You've experienced it. So you got to recalibrate your drive, which I like that he's thinking about in those terms. Like, how do I refocus my drive as an artist outside of those successes that I got from One Direction?
And we said something like this on the documentary that we're doing with Louis. What distinguishes Louis, I think, from the other members, or for sure between him and Harry, is I don't think Harry is trying to get the next. Sorry, I don't think Louis is trying to.
Yeah.
How do I outdo my next show and make this one 10 times better than my last one? I don't think that's Louis's motivation. I think, especially when we watch that documentary, he seems to be motivated by, I just want to keep my fans coming back. I don't want to lose that. Whether it's I'm still playing in bars later or whatever it is, I'll just keep that connection because that's what kind of motivates him. And I respect Louis a whole lot more now than I did before, because I do feel like this is gonna this. You think your contra, your that what you just said stirred things up. This will stir things up. This will get people all hot and bothered.
Oh, all right.
Okay, ready? Sorry, folks, but I think at some point we're going to see the downfall of Harry. I'm being very serious. I think Harry's going to crescendo and then slide into whatever, and maybe he'll get better, and maybe he'll have a second wind or something. But I don't see Louis necessarily hitting the wall because he's not chasing something that is finite. You know what I mean? Like he's just going for I just want people to be here, whatever capacity they can, and I'll be there for them. And that's, to me, that's the most like altruistic motive. Whereas the other one is you're going to hit the wall and you're going to have to, there has to be a top. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we mentioned that before with Harry. It's not a question of his ability as a singer or as an artist. We love him, but at some point there has to be a peak. And I don't, we talked about that offline. We don't want to bore our listeners too much, but we talked about certain artists that we react to on our channel who are just huge. We don't have to say any more names, but there's a time where they're going to peak. And Louis has the advantage of where he doesn't have to peak. He peaked with one direction. And now as a solo artist, he's just happy to perform. And that's actually a good place to be. I'm just happy to perform and I don't have any expectations anymore. I'm just going to go out there and perform. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
And here's the controversial part. I'm happy.
That's a good way to say it. That's right. That's a good way to say it. That's exactly what you're
not sustainable. There you go.
That's right. You can't. At some point, it has to stall. It has to.
I'm happy I'm on for the ride for Louis. I think now more than I am for Harry.
Oh, welcome to the Louis train. I've been here since the day one. Okay. It's okay. We welcome all who join us.
Whereas I was more Harry before, and I think I've let go of that now.
No. Yeah. We love Louis.
Usually I go into the, like, how do you define success question later on, but I think a lot of it is tangible in the choices and the moves you made when putting together this next body of work, especially as I remember our last interview. You, even down to how you curated your writing rooms, you didn't curate it with writers, you chose artists, and there's a difference there, correct?
Definitely. And this is me speaking stereotypically. Of course, there are other examples of other professional songwriters who are going to give you everything you want. But through my experience, 9 times out of 10, when you work with professional songwriters, it's their livelihood. So that means that the more singles they get, the better off they're going to be. So sometimes you do feel like the air has almost been stained before you've even walked in, because the intentions are different. The intentions are about finding singles and about not just finding a single that's going to be really commercially successful so you're going to get good money off it, etc. Whereas when you work with artists, people aren't thinking about that. And obviously we have the luxury to do that because our job is broader than just the writing, and I understand that we have the luxury to do that. But at the same time, it means that every song, be it a 2-minute album track or something like Bigger Than Me that kind of feels and sounds like a single, every song gets the attention it deserves. And that's what I've really benefited from on this record. Is it just feels like there's so much more soul to it, and I don't mean that in terms of the genre. There's so much more life and honesty because of that.
I've never had that explained that way, and I've always had that feeling that there's something up with how music gets created and processed, and I've never had that explained, and I really love that explanation. To me, there's some great wisdom there about how to do it. He's absolutely right. You put artists in a room, they're going to think like artists. They're not going to think like, how do I make the most money off of this? They're going to think it's not about the money. It's about the craft and the creativity. And to me, that's genius for him to approach it that way.
I agree. I like that he's open about expressing just, hey, bigger than me. I think you mentioned bigger than me. He goes, it
Mhm.
sounds like a single, i.e., it was
Mhm.
written by single makers. No, still Louis. He did a great job.
Mhm.
It's a fun song, but it sounds like a single. And he's saying Faith in the Future might not sound like a singles album because there's soul to it. We're artists creating art. We're not trying to get singles out. I also like how he was talking about how it's okay. That's their job. Their job is my name is on the singles when it sells 1 million copies or downloads or whatever on Spotify. I get a couple cents for every download.
Mhm.
That's fine. That's their job. That's okay to feel that way. But I like working with artists because artists are working through me as the singer and the artist, and not through how do I get Louis to sing my song. So
Mhm.
artists are working with Louis, and single makers are making singles. If Louis doesn't sing the single, I'll give it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And that's just part of the industry. It's been that way forever, but I just like how he's very clear about that. I like that.
Yeah.
It's very, again, makes us endeared more to Louis. He's just being honest about how the industry works.
You look back to Walls. How have you grown as a writer?
I think I've just got more confident, and I've definitely got better as a writer. But I think it's more confident as an artist, and more a better understanding of who I am
As a person?
as the two are intertwined.
Yeah.
They really are. Like, as a person, as an artist, I think I had a pretty good grasp on who I am as an individual, but it does become a little bit more complex when you're thinking about who you are as an artist, because you're thinking that there is a process in your head where you're trying to place yourself based on past experience like myself, or also you're looking to other people in the industry and thinking, where do I sit amongst that? And it doesn't really work like that. You kind of got to find those things out for yourself, if that makes sense.
Drinking game? We mentioned that in our documentary viewing. Louis does a lot of that, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Or does that make I love it. I love it. And Nathan, you do it too, which I love. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
What? It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just I just catch. Look. I run a podcast outside of this YouTube channel, and I do editing for this YouTube channel. So I hear a lot of those crutch phrases that all humans do it. I do it, and I cut it out when I do the editing. I'll do it for you. Like when I say the word, it's the same. It's just it's a longer version of saying it's. You hear what I'm saying? Anyways, I love it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah,
We should do a drinking game that every time you close your eyes for longer than 2 seconds, we have to drink.
I do that. See, I do that too because I'm thinking. I want to make sure I get my thoughts across.
Do you?
Sean the Hab.
Is it hard to come to the right way to phrase this? I think is it's a very mature thing to understand that the only person you should be comparing yourself is yourself.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Sorry, people. That was a totally inside joke just between me and Nathan. I knew I should have waited till he had water in his mouth or something. Okay. I'm so sorry, folks. I'm sorry. All right. Sorry, guys. This is terrible. This is horrible content for our listeners. I apologize. Okay, Nathan, you focus. Come on. Louis the focus. Let's go.
Sorry.
All right.
Is there a moment that you realized that? Have you fully realized it?
I think so.
You can also forget it too.
I think so. Yeah, I do think those things. And the same. I could say the same about trusting my gut. It's a daily, not a daily struggle, but a daily conversation. Those things you've got to stay on top of those things. But I will say, where I didn't expect to feel this comfortable musically as a performer, as a songwriter. The last time I sat here when we did that Walls interview, I feel like there's been quite a lot of growth since then. I feel like a slightly different artist, different person.
Can you see it in your stage show?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I'd say so. And actually, that was the missing piece of the puzzle for me. Yes, now I'm finally confident about who I am as an artist, and that took some working out. But actually, where the confidence has come from is the consistency of show after show after show. And it leaves no room for self-doubt. And I'm so blessed with my amazing crowds that, you know, when you have that many shows and you have such a great atmosphere at those shows, like I said, there's no room for any other thing other than patting yourself on the back and going, well done.
It's nice to see that growth hearing this interview because we saw, of course, in the documentary when he was having self-doubt about his tours and about being on stage. Now he's saying, hey, they like me. They really like me. And he's allowed to congratulate himself. He seems more confident here in this interview than he does in the documentary.
Yeah,
Where we're at right
absolutely
now.
does. Where we're at right now. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Also command the room. You feel like you're performing just to one person, but there's a massive room of people who are there connected by love and acceptance.
Yeah.
And completely and totally judgment free. I saw you at the YouTube theater and it was superb. Really fucking amazing.
Do you know which night it came on? I think it was the weekend. So did you know if it came on the Saturday or the Sunday?
I think I came on the Saturday. I think Claudia will
I'm
remember.
pretty sure that was the show that my son was at. Anyway, special show, man. Really special show. That was amazing.
That's interesting. We just saw that part again on the documentary when Freddie was at the concert. Yeah.
Obviously, that's top of mind, right? That your son is there.
Say that again.
The fact that your son is in the venue, do you think about that while you're on stage?
Massively.
Yeah.
That was probably across the 80 odd, and that's not a flex, the 80 odd dates I played this year. I'd say it's probably the most nervous I've been.
He
The
was there?
irony is, bless him, he's such a good lad, and he was so excited, and he brought a little banner.
Yeah, we just saw that.
And also he's in bed by 7 o'clock every night, but the show finishes at about 10:30, 11. He stayed up throughout it, absolutely loving it. So obviously I know he's gonna have a good time, but in the back of my mind I'm like, this is the first time my son's gonna see me perform. Like, I better deliver. I need to look like a hero up there. So I can't remember, and also I got really emotional as well the first time I locked eyes with him in the room, because that room's big, but it's still like small.
Yeah, we just saw this on our yesterday's reaction to the documentary. That was weird. I'm glad we got the interview
Afterwards.
And we're only doing half of it because we're going to finish the documentary on our next recording of Louis, and then we'll finish this interview. So this is interesting. I do want to speak really quickly, and I think I'll have a tangent, but I think you and I talked about this very point that somebody brought up on our chat regarding Harry's big stadium tours and stuff, because we mentioned this about Harry and Taylor. We're like, why are both their tours right now so huge? And I think the pandemic, because of the shutdown of all these venues and all these concerts, I think Taylor, for example, was supposed to go on the Midnights tour or whatever tour it was. Sorry, Folklore, one of those albums, whatever, was shut down because of the tour. Because of the pandemic. Yeah, I'd be curious what kind of trajectory they'd be on had there never been a drought. So people are very thirsty. And both tours are huge. Don't get me wrong. And rightfully so. Don't get me wrong. But I don't think the drive will be there on the next tour. Why? Because they just saw you a year, 2, 3 years ago, and they paid an exorbitant amount of money, and the drought was no longer there. We've got the movies in the theaters. We've got YouTube. So I'd be curious to see that sustainability. Does it go higher, or do we become more intimate? Do we go down to the Louis level? And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I just mean Louis level sustainable.
Yeah,
you can't do these eras or this love tour element. Like, people can add us. That's fine. That's my opinion, and I'll be curious to see what the future will hold. So I have faith in the future. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Faith in the future.
Enough for you to be able to see. And that was emotional, man. That was probably one of the most emotional times I've had on stage, really. It was amazing. He just beaming. He was so excited to be there.
Oh, he's going to remember that forever.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Did he give you a review afterwards? Did you ask him how you were?
Hey, who said you could talk?
Hey, who's that guy?
It's like, remember me? Yeah. Hey, we can ask you a question.
Hey, thanks for letting me press the button that lets me speak.
I did, and I think he just shrugged his shoulders and was like, yeah. But it's funny because I remember having a similar experience with my younger sisters, and young kids, their understanding of all this world it's interesting, because it's only now Freddie's been to that show that he understands that not everyone's dad does what I do, because it's always been normal to him, and it was the same with my younger sisters. It was always normal to them. It's not until they get amongst other friends and other families that they understand that maybe this is a little bit more abnormal than the average life.
That's very normal for celebrity kids. I've heard that from a few celebrities with their kids. There's, dad's going to work. Oh, great. He's in a movie. Good for you, dad. Because they see this quote unquote celebrity every day in their life to walk around in his underwear, scratching his nuts. They don't think anything of it. Like, to them, it's just dad.
Yeah.
It's like us with our YouTube channel. Our kids they just treat me like any other dad. But when I go out there in public,
I don't know. My daughters have been like telling people about the channel and people get so, oh really? Your dad is on YouTube? And they get like crazy about it.
Yeah,
Where tens of listeners come from.
Yeah. Thank you to your daughter's friends.
Does seeing him in that venue help add to your definition of success today?
Subconsciously, yes. When you ask the question, of course. But instinctively, I've always been pretty good. There's a split in the middle. There's my professional life and there's my personal life. And success, although the word will overlap across the two, it's not in those moments. I'm trying to find the right words, but it doesn't really. When I go, for example, when I say on this tour I've just done, we'll do maybe 6-week run on like maybe over Europe, and then I've had my work hat on the whole time, and then I'll come back and I'll come spend a couple of weeks with Freddie, and it does feel like I kind of take that work hat off, put my dad hat on, and the two of them are separate, and I love it for that reason.
I think it's needed too.
Yeah,
it's also healthy.
Yeah, true. Yeah. But it gives me a moment in my life that, unfortunately, depending on your interpretation, there isn't a load of normality in my life. So those moments, I cherish those moments, like those dead normal moments of just taking him to the park, which, by the way, I fucking love because people watching over here in LA is a sport, man. It's fucking funny, that shit. So I'll take my son and my best mate, he works for me and he's out here with me as well. So we'll go together and we'll take him to the park. Some of the conversations you're privy to, like some of these like young parents over here, they are just, I don't want to say they're mad, but they do chat some funny shit. So I
You just talk about people watching. I love it. That's good. He could probably
Because not everyone.
Yeah,
you get away with it where people don't recognize them
Yeah,
right away.
I would say even my wife, I would be surprised, like if Louis, because I think she might recognize Harry. I don't know, like in that sense, like. But there's a lot of people like I could take the average person on my job especially my age range, and show a picture of who is this? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if I think about that, think of your parents. Show this to your parents. Would they know who he is? So there's probably a lot of people, like, of course, as celebrities are very popular within their fandom, but people are naive when they think that everyone knows who. And look, we get this on our channel all the time from whatever artist. We get this all the time. How can you not know ABC artist or XYZ songs?
Yeah.
That question is really odd to me because the person who's saying that is saying, I know who this is. I'm
How
a
come
fan
you're not
of this.
me?
How come you don't experience life the way I have? I'm like, that's impossible because you're saying everybody knows everybody. That's impossible. Anyways, so I like how how they go to like he's talking about LA. Now he does mention the States. He probably would be less recognized in the States than he would be probably in the UK. But I like how he's talking about they just go watch people, and I'm the same way. I love watching people, and I'm just fascinated by. I can't believe these people exist. They're able to function in society. It's fun to watch that. Yeah.
get some mild entertainment out of it as well.
I'm assuming you don't fit in with the dad group.
Do you know what? I swear to God, maybe fucking hell, it was dead eye pitch, isn't it? If there's like maybe 40 parents in the park, there's only ever really 2 or 3 dads that I see there. But no, I'm not in the dad crew yet. Waiting to be invited.
Come on over, Louis.
Come on over, yeah.
I still take my kids to the park sometimes. They're getting a little bit older. The youngest twins are 9, so we still
about the same age.
Yeah, come bring come bring Freddie around, and
Freddie's
we'll
probably the same age now. Yeah.
And I would recognize him at the park, but I'm not in LA. Well,
You are in your 30s now. We're getting up there.
And I've got great.
Sorry, Louis. No laughter, Louis. I'm not laughing at that. Come on.
Yeah, so I might as well just join the club. Yeah. I'm an old.
She's got gray hair. I have it too. Oh, my camera went fuzzy. Hopefully it corrects itself. Okay.
Old man. I never wanted to say this.
But you keeping a division between home and show and work, that does also allow you to be a rock star. And
it does.
You are doing a rock and roll show up there.
Yeah, that's another good thing about it. Definitely. Yeah, man. This tour has been like, the shows obviously have been amazing. The crowds have been amazing. But actually everything else that comes with that, there's been a lot of drinking this year, but loads and loads of fun at the same time, man. In my opinion, obviously it's about balance to a degree, but that's how touring should be done, man. It's got to be a bit boozy. It's got to.
The confidence you're exuding, it shows. I see photos of you on the barricade
Vodka Red Bull's powerful, man.
What did he say?
Go back there.
I got.
that
It's very
again.
hard to go back. Let me just try. It's very hard to go back. But let's see what. Let's wait 1 second. Okay, let's try it again.
That's how touring should be done, man. It's got to be a bit boozy.
And
It's got to.
The confidence you're exuding, it shows. I see photos of you on the barricade.
Vodka Red Bull's powerful, man.
Powerful, man. I didn't get the first part. I love Louis, but man, I wish we had subtitles on this.
Red Bull is powerful.
Oh, vodka Red Bull is powerful, man. Thank you, Alice.
Oh,
Thank you.
vodka Red Bull. Okay.
Oh, we love Louis.
You allow people to touch you.
Yeah, oh yeah, man. Sometimes
Whoa, Nathan, let's go.
Oh, Ryan's excited.
I'm very excited.
it gets pretty crazy.
Oh, you've been choked.
Yeah, you know what? That happened at one show, and then I swear every other show now, someone's got their hand on my neck. It got a little bit weird when someone grabbed me dick one show, and there was a little bit extra. That was a bit too much.
A
But
little bit.
yeah, but I'm not
a
gonna lie.
lot?
Even when I don't even know if I should be advocating this, but without going specific into whatever they do when I'm down there, the feeling that I get when I walk out for the first song and I see the crowd for the first time, that's like a tenth of the feeling of what I feel when I go down into the pit, because it's like that feeling just bottled up and it just gets thrown over you, and there's so much energy, there's so much like intensity in those moments. By far my favorite part of the show.
Okay, so we're getting our chat here that fans have been getting a little bit too aggressive with him lately. Uh-oh. And he didn't like that. That's not good. Why are people like... I like to think, honestly, if Lou was next to me, I'd just pat him on the shoulder. Hey, man, or high five.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, I had one experience way ago when I was like 16. I was at a concert. It was The Cult in Vancouver, and Lenny Kravitz was the opening act. And I was in the front row. And Lenny Kravitz ran by the crowd, and he ran right by me, and I gave him a pat on the shoulder. I didn't grab his chains or his hair. I just, like, when he ran by me, I just did like this. So I like to think I would still do something just like that. You just give him the pat or a high five. Don't grab, don't pull.
And to think that I have high-fived you, the hand that touched Lenny Kravitz.
I haven't
Wow.
watched it since.
Mm.
So people are saying it was in Germany.
Part of it is, though, that after this interview, it gives the sense that he's okay with it. And I'm sure in some fans' mind, they're like, oh, well, he said it's okay.
I know. You give them an
That
inch.
means I can do whatever I want. Yeah.
Yeah, people are stupid. That's why. Like, just he's allowing you to touch him, give him high fives, shoulder, back, even slap him on the butt. He probably just laugh. But come on, off his groin, and don't pull his clothes, people. That's just stupid. What are they hoping to accomplish with that? So if you're watching our video and you're pulling the clothes or jewelry of these artists, stop it. You're being stupid. Anyways.
It is gross seeing people stick their fingers in your mouth.
That was weird. You seen that? Yeah, man. Oh yeah, I think I watched the video. I thought that was the mic or something. I looked a little bit confused in that moment. I don't even remember it. That's another thing. Once you're down there, it all happens so quick and it's so chaotic. I remember watching that video back. I don't even remember it happening.
But that energy does make you it changes perspective as it relates to music and impact and like really understanding who you're performing to. It is wild.
Definitely, yeah. Not quite got round to fully immersing myself in the crowd yet, but maybe next tour.
I mean, to be honest, they're getting very personal and handsy. Watch your hands a little bit. That's
yeah, no, it gets intense. I will say across South America,
See, Zach said that. Come on, guys, just be a little bit, go easy. Don't be silly.
different gravy. Like it was amazing / scary at the same time. Like, yeah, incredible. I had a shirt ripped off me. My shirt, nice fucking Burberry shirts it was. Button up. That was my first mistake. I went with the button up shirt and I went down and they literally just pulled it from me and just completely ripped it to shreds.
That's a weird experience, though. It must be different because with One Direction, you guys never got to get that close to the crowd, did you?
No, I think that I feel like in the earlier days, I personally did do a bit of that. I don't know.
He seems adorable. Hey, oh, we're so terrible. We are the worst. It's only me. I'm the worst. I don't know why anyone watches our channel. I'm sorry, Nathan. Maybe you should go solo. You should probably go solo.
Okay.
Oh, all right. That was easy. That was easier than I anticipated.
On what song you hardly get down on What Makes You Beautiful to immerse yourself in the pit, but maybe But yeah, it is. I mean, I could probably count on one hand how many times I had an experience even remotely similar to that. But it's by far the best part of the show. And I've seen some of my fans speculating, like, why does he like that? It looks scary and intense and whatever. But that's why it's exciting. There is then an element of danger to it that makes it feel really fucking just amazing. And they, like I said before, if you think you understand what a feeling of adrenaline is, that is like a times 10 in that moment. It's unavoidable. It's on top of you almost.
Rock and roll?
Yeah, man.
Did touring this past album, Walls, did that change your perspective on the music you make moving forward?
Basically, what I feel like I did on this tour was I carried the energy of this new album, Faith in the Future, but obviously only had Walls songs to perform, because one thing we realised when we put the set together is there's not a load of tempo on Walls. So my band had to create these interesting live moments.
Oh, very interesting. And that's always the problem with the first album for every band or every artist, that, yay, we're touring in support of our first album. This is it. They got bands nowadays, bands that you and I've grown up with, they have literally a decades library to choose from. But I got one album. It's hard. And then he's saying that
half-hour show.
There's a little bit shorter shows because you got one album, do some covers, probably do some One Direction songs. But I love how he's saying his band, hey, Louis, to make these songs a little bit more enjoyable live, we're going to have to add a little bit of pizzazz or a little bit, because it doesn't translate from the album to a live performance. And his band's great. They are great guys in those bands.
Yeah, they are.
But I wouldn't. I would say almost in reverse. I wouldn't say it's influenced the music I was gonna make. Maybe the live moments, maybe being in those live moments and getting a very literal example for what those moments feel like, I'm sure affected me subconsciously within the writing.
But there were also songs that you performed on tour that didn't make it to the album.
Yeah.
Change.
Yeah.
Why is that not on there?
Do you know what? I'm sure other songwriters can relate to this. I've got this funny feeling about old, in inverted commas, songs, and especially songs that didn't make the cut for something. Change was in between Walls and Faith in the Future, but I think I wrote Change maybe 2 or 3 months, 4 months maybe after releasing the first record. It just feels like a moment in time. It's not that I don't think it's good enough for this record, because I do, but it also feels like a moment in time. It feels less appropriate to be on this album. It almost acted as like a transitional song between album 1 and 2.
And we did react to that song, by the way. I'm trying to remember how it got released. Was it a bonus track eventually or something? But we've reacted to that song.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, but what was its purpose on tour?
I did a similar thing with one of my songs, Copy of a Copy, and I think originally the intention was just to play something new. I didn't know if it was going to make it on the record or not. But also, there's a lot of bands that I grew up loving. That's how they would trial their new music.
Yeah,
that's the
totally.
old school way to trial music. Get a very literal example of, do people like it or do they not? Do you see them moving? Do you see them bopping their head? Does it make them feel something?
And are you taking tally of that while you're doing the song?
You're trying to. I would say that when songs don't hit as well, and there was one on tour that we cut, I can't remember what it was off the top of my head, that's when you feel it, because I'm so blessed to have such an amazing atmosphere 99.9% of the time. And
Yeah, concerts are used, bands do this all the time, of course, but it's a good chance to not only try your song in front of a crowd, but you can also tweak it. You can work on it. It's almost like it's a live, let's work on our song. Hey, I'm going to try a different solo, or hey, let's try a different change here or there, or increase the tempo, slow down the tempo. So they can work on their album while they're on tour. So a lot of bands certainly do that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, especially older bands. You can hear there's certain songs that they have like their preferred version that they'll play live, as opposed to the one that you've heard for years. Yeah.
And when that dips just 1%, you can feel that on certain songs. Totally. And actually, and the fans may disagree with me on that, but but I never felt the same reaction to Change that I did Copy of a Copy. That's why I started to take it out the set, and then in the end, it was never going to make the new record anyway, to be honest. It was a moment in time. Not that I'm done with it, but I feel like I've moved on since then.
Those songs are a moment in time. Are the songs that make up this album more of a timeless air to it, energy to it?
No, I wouldn't say so. There is something about the fact that, because there's other songs, they're like demos that crossed the first record and the second record, that It's once they don't make the cut that you've made your mind up on them. It's like people have mentioned I've been asked on this kind of promo run, were there songs on Walls that you didn't include in the album that you might include on this one? But there's a reason they're not on the first record.
No, you sell those to other artists, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's Louis, and I appreciate that he's saying that. Hey, look, they didn't make the Walls album for a reason, and some artists are like that. But I'll tell you this: again, I'm a fan of a lot of bands. There's bands who release, and it's common. It's a very common practice. So Louis saying that, hey, there's a reason why they didn't make the first album. I'm not going to insult my audience with this on a second album. But there's a lot of artists who are like, oh, I'm having a hard time figuring out that we got to do 10 songs. We did 2 or 3 that didn't make the first one. Let's revamp them happens all the time. We don't know it unless you're like somehow get word that they were working on such and such song before an album was released, especially back in the day where there was no internet, no forum. You know, it's just, it's great that he's saying that, hey, look, there's a reason why it was on the first album. But you could also argue you're just not in the mood for that sound or song, and it just fits the theme of another album too. There's a lot of reasons why songs don't make the cuts, not just because of the quality. It could also just be the theme, the sound, the tempo. Too many, or else we have a double album, things like that. But
exactly. So yeah, I don't really know. I do think it's a moment in time. I don't necessarily have that feeling about. I was going to say I don't have that feeling about Walls, but I do to a certain degree. I think every album is a moment in time. And especially because as artists, we're constantly evolving, constantly growing. From every song you write, you feel like you learn a bit more. Yeah.
When we look back 20 years, 30 years, by we, I mean you, and you listen to this album, what do you think you're going to be able to hear? What images will come to your mind?
I think it'll be, I often try and think of my career as like a 5-album thing. Hopefully longer, but I'm trying to look into the future long term on that. I think it'll probably be something that I look back on and say that was the moment that I took control myself musically and really owned my own taste.
All right. Again, he's hinting at what he was talking about before with the first album, maybe a little bit too many single writers in the recording room. Second album, more artists.
Yeah.
He's saying now, when I look back on this album 15 years from now, I'm going to see this as a moment in time where, for better for worse, this is when I took ownership of my sound.
I think what I'm liking about this is I'm guessing that he's now learned on the second album that's more the style he's going to approach. That just says that the third album is going to be more that way, instead of, he's not going to go back to, you know what I need to do? I need to get a bunch of writers in the rooms and make a ton of money off of this stuff.
Yeah, he wants to be an artist. He wants to be
an artist. Artist is first, and making money is second for him. And I think that.
But he's already got enough. I bet you he's probably smart with his money. I think he has enough. He doesn't need, quote unquote, need more money. So it's not about the money. I think he's happy to make music. And I think that's a good place to be for any artist. Really, a good mental health place to be. You're not trying to chase the next concert is going to be in space. There's a couple of these artists that we reacted on our channel where their concerts are so huge right now. Is the next one going to be in space?
Yeah. Because how do you? Yeah, sorry.
No, you're right. Where do you go from there? Yeah.
How do you top it? Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that redirects everything you do moving forward.
Definitely. Yeah. Change the intention. Yeah.
So, what is the intention of this album?
Honestly, to be able to sell another tour, to be able to carry on touring, and that will be. Will ask me in 3 years, but I doubt that will change. That's the most important thing to me, is to be able to have these amazing live moments. Because why I love tour, there's so much, I don't want to call it bullshit, but there's so much mystery in my life. Let's say a radio station will say, if you come in and do this interview for us, we might play your record. And then they don't.
Oh, yeah. Breaking news.
Or whatever it might be.
What must have happened to him? Where he was hoodwinked. Get Louis on your show and they don't even promote his album on their airways. So that obviously happened to him.
Press opportunity or conversations with the record label, all these things where there is an element of mystery, and you're hoping that people are going to honor their word. Whereas what's amazing about tour is it's black and white. What is what you get. If I come off stage at the end of that show and feel like I gave most of the people in there a good night,
that's it.
Then I've done well. And it's as simple as that. And that's
it's
what
in your control
about
too,
it, man. I love that shit that I'm not trying to read between the lines. There's a very literal black and white example of a yes or no answer to the question. Did I have a good night? Did you guys have a good night? Yes, easy as that. Whereas sometimes conversations with radio, record label, etc., you're always reading between the lines.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because those radio interview guys they're the worst. They're such hammers, man. Ham and eggers. They're such like they're so fake. You can tell this. We should say Zach's doing a great job here. So I don't know who the Zach guy is. Informed questions. He's educated on who Louis is. So what I appreciate about him is he's being honest with his questions. He's listening to what Louis has to say, and obviously Louis trusts this interview. But Louis been hoodwinked and been taken advantage of. One Direction member Louis visits the studio.
Right. Yeah. People trying to dig for stuff that isn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a cycle, and they're beating around the bush, and they're never giving you straight answers, and ultimately, like, it leads to nowhere. But and it's also, those are things that are out of your control. You can't account for whether or not a radio programmer or some label executive is going to champion something. You don't know. But what you do know is that you can go to X city, you can hang out with X amount of people, you can create an experience that will last these people a lifetime, and an experience that you'll carry with you for a very long time.
Yeah, and that, just picking up on what you said there, that the experience that, or the memories that people are having at these shows, that's something that this year's taught me, and that's also given me a load of confidence, is because I've been able to look into people's eyes, especially on the front few rows, of what these shows actually mean to them, and what these songs mean to them. And I haven't necessarily heard it in words, but I felt it from them. And that's given me a load of confidence on this tour. That's something that I didn't really fully understand before this year. I had an idea, but in terms of the level of importance, and you really do feel that, especially since COVID and we all missed live music and we wanted for those moments. Now they came back, and I just felt this, just dead proud, man, dead proud to be able to create these moments for people, definitely.
That will last them forever. And a community that you've cultivated for a very long time, that really, they're brought together by this music.
Yeah, so Louis loves the tour. I love how he's saying it's not about the money. Of course, touring brings money, but in the sense he's just saying he loves, obviously, that. Look, this is why comedians love performing live. Meaning they can sell their albums, and they do on iTunes and physical copies. They've been doing it since the days of, like, of course, Bill Cosby, when you and I were teenagers. Like, you just get these physical copies of these albums, and you are laughing as we listen to these albums. But what a comedian really likes, not just about selling those albums, is to go on tour and to hear the laugh from the crowd. Because hey, the joke worked. I love the laughter. And he's saying, hey, my music worked. I see their faces, and I see them singing along. I see them crying. I see them cheering. That's payment. That's their payment. Is, hey, this is affecting people's lives in a positive way. It must be, I don't say addicting, but of course it must be thrilling to have that experience. It'd be like us having a YouTube channel where people like listened and commented and said we did a good job. It'd be thrilling. It'd be exciting. I wonder what that's like.
I like hearing that Louis says that performing is black and white, because to me, that's where he's going to fit in the most. He's going to feel like the entire business arm of being a star. It sounds like that's never been his jam. It's never been something he's really moving towards. And that's probably why all the radio shows don't play his stuff or give him the airtime, because he's not actually seeking for it. And I think a lot of those radio shows will do that in this sort of tit for tat thing with the artist, where they're like, we'll do this if you promote our show and give us a little bit. Like, there's that kind of weird relationship, like Louis is saying, that they have to read between the lines to figure out what they actually want. And Louis, I just want to do the thing. I don't want to. So if you want to talk to my publicist or whatever, talk to that person if you want to figure out that stuff. But I'm just going to do the stuff that I like doing, which I love. I love that that's where he's grounding himself.
You're big on interpretation, so you don't want to go into the meanings of records, which I totally respect, as art, just like a painting, is in the eyes of the beholder. Music is in the ears of the beholder.
Exactly. And what I don't want to spoil the surprise for someone. If someone has got an opinion on what a song means to them, and maybe it actually has a real weight emotionally, and they're like, this is what that means to me. And then if they ask me, and I was like, oh no, it doesn't mean that, it's just about something random. Yeah, just kill the dream. I do think it's important to keep those things close to my chest.
A song, I want to go to One Direction real quick, and I want to get back into the album. Home. Are you the reason that song ended up coming out? Because it wasn't on an album.
Do you know what? There's a couple of things in my career that the fans just give me credit for. Now, like I
You
said
wrote on that
before-
record.
You what?
You wrote on that record.
I wrote that. Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's a song that I really like. Did I push for it to be released? I've got a very stoner memory, so if I challenge myself for a second, I don't think so. I actually think so. Not off the top of my head. I always liked that song, but yeah, not to my knowledge.
Next question that is a theory derived from fans. Have you been leaking your own records?
No. No. There was a time around Walls where I actually seriously thought about it, and it was where I wasn't getting my own way creatively. Maybe single conversations weren't going my way, and I
See, that almost sounds like it was a bit of a not a fun experience. He keeps bringing up he wasn't happy with the process, wasn't happy with the single creation. So I want to release this to piss off the company a little bit.
Yeah.
just thought maybe I'll just put it out to the world. That's the luxury of having something like social media. Record labels think they're in control, but I could just put it out there if I want to. I lost my train of thought, but I think I finished what I was saying.
All right, so we're going to stop it there. It's about halfway through. Final thoughts here, Nathan, before we tie up part one.
It's great. I can see why people like this interview. It has a lot of lots of Louis time, very little interviewer time. He's giving good questions that get him speaking, and lots of hearing Louis' thoughts, and very insightful. Very like when you can get a person talking about their craft the way Louis is talking, that's like gold for an interviewer, to be able to have them feel relaxed enough to discuss things that are perhaps never discussed. So anyway, I'm enjoying both this and the documentary side by side that we're doing right now. So I'm looking forward to coming back to part 2 for sure.
I love it. It's great. We love Louis. I love Louis. Have since day one. I don't know when the exact moment was when I fell in love. I'd have to go back through all those videos to see when the change came over my face and over my bodies. But anyways, yeah, great stuff. I'm looking forward to part 2 and part 3 of our documentary. Join our Patreon to see the documentary. It's available there, folks. That's where you can watch our reaction to his documentary. It's fully unedited, and especially if you don't have Paramount Plus, you get to watch it there. All right.
Cool. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next one.
We done? Well, I'm out of here.